of the hearing. We're hearing from members of the House on impeachment. We're joined next by Don Bacon, 2nd District of Nebraska, member of the Agriculture Committee. Don Bacon, Congressman Bacon, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Do you think the process has been fair to the president?
It has been stacked against him. I mean, he hasn't been allowed to have his attorney present, and for the most part, the Republican side have not been allowed to bring in their own witnesses. But I just think we have to be honest about it. For 3 years, the Democrats have been talking about impeachment. We've already had multiple votes on impeachment, even before the Ukraine phone call. And so this has been, I think, on the agenda for the Democrats since inauguration. In fact, I've been hearing about impeachment since the inauguration. And America's business is not getting done in the process. No budget. We have continuing resolutions. We don't have a defense authorization bill. Our military is weakened by this whole process. We don't have a trade deal, and we need one. So I think America's business is not getting done.
On those items that aren't getting done, on the continuing resolution, you voted against the last short-term CR. Tell us why.
Well, I've spent the last almost 3 years trying to get our military back on its feet. When I came in January of 17, half of the Navy aircraft couldn't fly. We have 58 combat brigades in the Army. Only 3 could deploy. We have the oldest Air Force in the history of the Air Force when you look at the age of the aircraft. And we spent the last 3 years restoring that military. Now under the leadership of Nancy Pelosi, we're seeing that being undermined and we're going backwards. CRs hurt our military. And this is going to be, that was the 3rd CR, and they're going to want us to vote on a 4th one, I believe, here in a couple of weeks, and it's wrong. When you have a CR, the military can't procure different kinds of weapon systems that they have in its budget. It basically keeps up to last year's spending. And in reality, that's about a 2% budget cut for what we had programmed for this coming year. So our military now is going backwards in readiness and in modernization because of a CR.
Has the focus on impeachment, both on the floor and in the committees, has that made, and the partisan atmosphere in the House, has it made it tough to get work done on the committee level?
Generally, one-on-one, I work very well with members across the aisle. In fact, I'm a caucus chair for the 4-country caucus. We're half Republican, half Democrat, and we're trying to work together, find areas of agreement. I'm also in the Problem Solvers Caucus, so there is, under the surface, Democrats, Republicans working together. But you have to look at reality. We have just spent the last how many months focused on impeachment. We don't have a budget. We don't have a defense authorization bill. We do not have a trade deal, which Nebraska sorely needs. We're an export state. And so America's business is not getting done, mainly because the Speaker controls the agenda. And I'll give you an example. We have a defense bill ready to go, but she wants to put outside bills that have nothing to do with defense into it, which is, bottling it all up. And it's wrong. It hurts our military.
Well, on the trade deal, let's focus on that a second. Also, with the news this week of additional tariffs likely tariffs from the administration, where do things stand on passing a trade deal in the House? How close is it?
Well, we have over 250 to maybe 260 members right now that are verified yes for USMCA, the United States, Mexico, Canada trade deal. You only need 218 votes. So this bill would pass easily if Speaker Pelosi would bring it to the floor. And I bet you it would be near 300 votes by the time we'd be done if she put it on the floor. But she doesn't want to. It gives the president a victory. But I think even more so, she's trying to use it as leverage to get other things that are not trade-related, not defense-related, but to put in a more liberal agenda and try to force the president to accept that with the trade deal. So she's holding it hostage to other issues.
Lastly, we're just a couple of days back from the Thanksgiving break. What did you hear from the folks in the Omaha area, not just on impeachment, but on the business that Congress is or is not getting done?
Well, I did a lot of nonpartisan events. I didn't do a town hall this time or strictly Republican events. I did a lot of Rotary clubs, went to retirement centers, and did 3 or 4 events a day along those lines. And I did hear overwhelmingly, with 1 or 2 exceptions, but overwhelmingly, that folks in my purple districts, very purple, it's 5149, 5248 kind of district, that they do not like impeachment. They don't necessarily condone the president's statements on the telephone, but they don't think it's impeachable. And I did hear overwhelmingly, America's business is not getting done. Trade is the #1 issue in Nebraska, and they want the trade deal passed. It's one of the top 2 or 3 issues in Nebraska is expanding those trade opportunities. And what I heard overwhelmingly from, I would say, independent and moderate voters is the election will be in 11 months. Let the voters decide this.
Congressman Don Bacon, 2nd District of Nebraska, the Omaha area, also serves on the Armed Services and Agriculture Committees. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Getting your thoughts on the impeachment process.